Right everyone, it is Finn here and welcome back to another video where today we're going to be talking about which African nations are going to qualify for the World Cup 2022. Now of course it is time for the round 3 of the African World Cup qualifications, and as you can see on screen right now, we've got 5 gigantic matchups to talk about. Obviously we've got the DRC versus Morocco, we've got Mali versus Tunisia, we've got Cameroon versus Algeria, we've got Ghana versus Nigeria, and of course Senegal versus Egypt.
Naughty, you teasing me?
And out of these 10 teams, only 5 of them can make it through to the next stage. And I think it is just, it's crazy to think of some of these teams that won't qualify to the next stage, not even make it to the World Cup. I mean, if you look at Senegal versus Egypt, for example, to think these are the finalists for Afcon 2021, and one of them won't even make it through the qualification process. Same goes for Nigeria versus Ghana. Same goes for Cameroon versus Algeria. There are going to be some massive teams that, forget won't qualify for the competition, but won't even make it to the next stage of the qualification process. That just shows how much African football has grown over the last few years. But of course, if you are watching this after my European qualification video, because obviously I've done that as well, where I've predicted who will go through on the European side, I thought I might as well do African teams as well. Of course, I made a lot of Afcon 2021 content. You guys seem to have absolutely loved it, so of course I have brought it back again. But of course, jumping straight into my predictions, first of all, we are going to be talking about the Democratic Republic of Congo versus Morocco. Now, of course, looking at the DRC, although they have been, well, let's call them slightly underwhelming over the last few years in the world of football.
Oh, that's not very nice.
Well, despite the fact that they've got some brilliant players in their squad. I mean, if you look at some of the names in their squad that you would recognize no matter where you live around the world, the likes of Masuaku from West Ham United, obviously, Bakambu, we've got the likes of Balassi, we've got Visa from Brentford. There are some brilliant players that are within this Democratic Republic of Congo team, and they should realistically be performing a lot better than they have over the last few years. But if you take them and you compare them to the likes of Morocco, I don't know how much I like their chances. Looking at Morocco, I thought they were absolutely brilliant at Afcon. Yes, they should have made it slightly further in my opinion, but in terms of defensive ability, they've got some brilliant players. Obviously with the likes of Saiss, they've got Hakimi, they've got Bueno, obviously the goalkeeper, obviously in terms of attacking positions, they've got Inyesuri and so many other brilliant players. Yes, I know obviously the likes of Ziyech from Chelsea has said that he's not going to play international football for Morocco because he kind of had that fallout with the manager. But at the end of the day, all you have to admit is the fact that Morocco have a really good team, and over the last few years have definitely been a better team than the DRC. As I said, as much as I like them, I do think Morocco will be the team making it to the next round of the competition, and they should advance past round 3. Now of course, looking at the next matchup, which by the way I'm not going to give you direct predictions because as I said there will be home and away games. As you can see, there's Ghana versus Nigeria and then it swaps over to Nigeria versus Ghana. I'm just going to tell you who I think makes it through to the next stage. It makes the video a lot quicker.
Fair enough.
Of course we've got Mali versus Tunisia. Now of course, big news for Mali, as it is official, or at least it looks to be official, that the likes of Decore has swapped international allegiances from France to Mali, which I think is absolutely massive. Imagine that, having both Decore and Basuma in your midfield. I'm telling you, they are going to boss the midfield. I mean, if you think you can get past the midfield like that, I think you could be sorely mistaken. And I kind of like Mali's chances versus Tunisia, to be honest with you. Look, I don't think Mali by any means were bad at Afcon. I think they had some absolutely brilliant standout performances, but I do still think Tunisia have a really good chance. Yes, they didn't start off that strong at the African Cup of Nations, but they were missing several players, if not more, due to problems such as COVID, such as injuries. But of course, they seem to have their strongest squad available for a fixture like this, and the way that they started to perform towards the end of Afcon, we saw them knock out the likes of Nigeria. I kind of like Tunisia's chances versus Mali, as much as I want Decore to have an absolutely brilliant start to his African international footballing career.
Not gonna happen.
Not gonna happen!
I do think Tunisia will take it, and I do think they will knock out the likes of Mali, sadly. Now, of course, jumping into the next 3 fixtures, they are the 3 big ones in my opinion, which obviously, guys, do not forget, just like Sam Allardyce, leave a fat old like down below if you do enjoy this kind of content and you want to see it on a more regular basis if you like the international football, along with subscribing down below. It's always good to see new faces on this channel. I always like building this community. I mean, consider yourselves family. I like chatting with you guys in the comment section down below. It's always a good time, so make sure that you join the community. But of course, next up, we've got Cameroon versus Algeria. Now, of course, looking at Cameroon, I was so surprised to how well they were at the how well they played, should I say, at the African Cup of Nations. Obviously picking up 3rd place in the competition. I thought they had a really brilliant tournament. Obviously looking at them versus Algeria, although Algeria you would assume would have been the stronger team, they had a really poor African Cup of Nations, despite the fact that they pretty much had their strongest squad. Look, I think mahrez absolutely pulled the strings.
There are no strings on me.
Throughout all the games, but unfortunately Algeria as a team, I don't feel like they performed really well, which is a pity because they do have some brilliant players throughout their entire team. So it all just depends on, can Algeria finally pick up their socks? Can they put on their big boy pants, and can they actually perform versus Cameroon? Now, of course, although Cameroon pretty much have their strongest team, obviously Vincent Aboubakar up front, as we know, always a lethal weapon, especially if you put him next to a Kambi. They will be missing the likes of Anguissa in their midfield, but is that enough for them to crumble versus Algeria? I do think this can go absolutely either way, and I mean, as I said, this might be one of the hardest predictions I have to make. But in terms of who I think will make it through to the next stage, it is going to be a tricky one. Don't forget, you can put your predictions down below as well, but I do think I am going to go for the likes of Cameroon. I know, a very dodgy one. I do think with the likes of mahrez, of course Algeria could make it, but something deep down in my gut, which I feel like I have to listen to, is telling me to go for Cameroon. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Of course, getting into our second last game, Ghana versus Nigeria. Now, of course, big game for Nigeria and for Ghana, to be fair. Obviously, Ghana absolutely crumbled, didn't even make it out of the group stage of the African Cup of Nations.
Disgusting!
Nigeria, although they had a super start to the competition and I thought they could win it, they were knocked out by the likes of Tunisia. So you know what, a big game. Both teams had so much to prove. Obviously looking at Ghana, as I said, were absolutely dreadful at Afcon, and now because of his suspension we will be missing the likes of Andre Ayew up front, who really seemed to be the only goal threat for Ghana throughout that competition. So of course, a big player missing for Ghana. They might really struggle without their top goal scorer up front, especially versus Nigeria, who now they are back stronger than ever. They've got the most expensive African striker of all time. He is back from COVID. Obviously Osimhen up front, the Napoli striker. We've got the likes of Emmanuel Dennis. He's finally added to this Nigerian squad. We've got the likes of Musa. We've got so many brilliant players. We've got the likes of Lookman, who's also swapped international allegiances from England to Nigeria. I'm telling you, this Nigerian squad is going to be a lot stronger than it was at Afcon. And on top of that, you've still got Okoye in your goalkeeper position. You've still got Tristy Kong in your centre-back position. But of course, another weak point that you could talk about is the fact that Wilfred Ndidi, the machine in the midfield, will be missing this game. Of course, now is that enough? Is missing your main engine enough for you to crumble versus Ghana? Once again, I guess we'll have to wait and see. It is a huge loss for Nigeria, but obviously from what I saw at the African Cup of Nations, don't forget, anything can change at any point. Football is so unpredictable, but I do think I like Nigeria's chances more than Ghana. Just looking at their team, how they've performed over the last year or so, based on recent form, I do think I do have to go for Nigeria, and I do think the Black Stars of Africa are going to get knocked out of the tournament. I am sorry. But of course, that takes us to our final matchup for the African qualifiers for the World Cup. Obviously, Egypt versus Senegal. Now, where do I even begin? As I said, the final of Afcon, easily the two best African nations in the world from over the last year, and only one is going to even have the chance to qualify for the World Cup. What on earth do I do? I mean, looking at Egypt, they are missing some big names heading into the qualifiers. Obviously, throughout their striker positions, defensive positions, there are a lot of players that are missing. But of course, they've still got their star players. They've still got the likes of good old Mo Salah up front. They've still got Gabakski. I mean, he was absolutely brilliant. Obviously, for Egypt, picking up a man of the match between the posts, obviously in the final of that competition. So you know what, Egypt definitely still have a chance versus Senegal. But as I said, I mean, just looking at Senegal as a whole, I thought they were so strong in that Afcon final. Obviously, they ended up winning it, but a huge reason to why, obviously, they were held back for so long in that final was the fact that Gabaski was such a brilliant goalkeeper and had maybe one of the best goalkeeper performances I've ever seen in my life. That man had golden gloves. But of course, I mean, can he do it again versus Senegal? That is the big question, because looking at Senegal, they've got their strongest team for this qualifier game. They are going to want to qualify for this World Cup. As I said, Egypt are missing a few stars, and it all depends on, can they have another goalkeeping or defensive performance like they had? Can they do it again versus Senegal? And that's one thing that I'm not too sure about. And to be honest, I think Senegal are going to get the better of Egypt for a second time this year in another big opportunity, and I don't think Egypt will be able to get their revenge, unfortunately. And as I said, it is crazy to think that only one of Mo Salah or Sadio Mane will be able to make it through to the next stage. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is pretty much it for my World Cup qualifier predictions for the African nations. As I said, in terms of the teams going through, I do think Morocco will go through, I do think Tunisia will go through, I do think Cameroon will go through. That's maybe the one that I'm least sure about out of all these predictions. I do think Nigeria will go through, and I do think Senegal will go through. As I said, I'm not going to predict score lines for home and away games, just predicting who will make it through. But ladies and gentlemen, as I said, I have also uploaded a European prediction video. Don't forget to check that out if you have not seen that already. And of course, let me know your predictions down below. Obviously, sorry, forgot how to speak English there for a second. But of course, as I said, don't forget to like, subscribe, join the community. Would love to hit 3,000 subscribers very, very soon. But ladies and gentlemen, until next time, maybe I'll also do a South American predictions. We'll have to wait and see. But until next time, this has been your boy Finn, FYNN. Cheers. Have a good one.